In this video, I'm going to show you some different techniques that you might use to create your sculpture, your gateway in clay. The first technique is using slabs. It's the slab construction technique, and you can see I'm using paper templates. When you're creating a sculpture using the slab technique, it's very helpful to make paper templates first and even make a paper prototype before you start. So you know exactly what shapes you're going to cut out. So you don't have to keep rolling out slabs and cutting out more shapes or changing them. This will make your construction go much faster. Now, my slabs here are at the leather hard stage, which means they have slightly dried because I'm trying to make a geometric form. And when I'm attaching them, because I'm making a small form, I'm just scratching, adding water, and attaching the forms together. Make sure you don't skip this step. It's the glue that's going to hold your sculpture together. I'm also reinforcing the slabs with a little coil in order to make sure that those slabs don't pop apart. Now, some people call it, instead of scratching and attaching, they call it scoring and slipping. This is the same thing, but since the slabs are so small, water, just scratching the surface, adding some water and attaching helps create that bond that you'll need to keep your sculpture from cracking and falling apart. Now, this last slab that I was attaching wasn't quite dry enough. It wasn't quite leather hard. You can see it's actually bending as I'm trying to attach it. So, as you're working, think of solutions to problems that you have. And so a solution that I came up with was just putting some newspaper on the inside. This is helping to keep it from collapsing inside. The newspaper, remember, will also dry out your sculpture. So it's very important to not leave it in there for a long period of time, just long enough to dry out your slab slightly. Now, here I'm using templates again. Try to find the right size template for the type of cylinder that I want to make. So again, make those templates, and that way, because I'm trying to make two posts or pillars or columns that are the same, it's really helpful to use the same template. Now, in order to make that slab cylinder, I'm using soft slabs, so I don't really have to scratch and attach. I just overlapped it slightly, and then use my finger to marry or join those ends together. Here's another way to create a column for your sculpture, and I'm just using, again, rectangles to create a box. Now I did cut these out with a template, so I knew what size column that I wanted to make. And using, again, the slab construction technique, and these are leather hard slabs, so they have slightly dried. That way I could get a nice geometric look. This is another technique that you might try, and depending on your idea. If you have a form that's not geometric, you could use the soft slab technique. I'm actually creating a tree-like form using soft slabs, but any form that's not geometric might be created using this technique. So soft slabs can be manipulated and bent and exaggerated using your fingers while they're still wet. Here I'm adding some texture to it to create that bark-like effect and twisting the roots. As it dries, I could add more details. Now, modeling is another technique. So this is maybe like the third technique that I'm showing you. Modeling can be used to create realistic things, but it's very important when you're done modeling that you scoop out the inside to make it hollow. Sometimes artists will even cut their sculpture into parts, hollow it out, and then rejoin it. It's important that you make your forms hollow. This will ensure that they'll dry out quickly to be placed in the kiln. If they don't dry out and there's moisture trapped inside, when the kiln gets to boiling point, the moisture will try to escape and your project may break. So ceramic artists are very conscious of drawing time and making their forms hollow. One way to make a strong and stable structure is to use an architecture device called the post and lintel technique. So this has two posts or beams or pillars on the side and a beam, or it's called a lintel, that goes across the top. This technique can be used as your base form, and then you can add to it. So in this case, I'm adding an arc, and then I'm adding some details. Of course, I'm not getting into all the detail right now. I'm just using this as an example. I made that little shape or form on top, and that can actually be attached to that beam and made part of that top beam. If you use this technique, I strongly recommend that we actually fire your sculpture in 3 separate parts. So after I attached that little arc to the top beam, you can see that I'll actually have 3 parts to the sculpture. I'll have the 2 posts on the side and the little beam on the top, or the lintel. So if I fire those in separate pieces, after they're fired and they're glazed and they're all finished, they can actually be glued together. So that just makes life easier on you and easier on me, because I don't have to worry about breaking your sculpture when we're putting it in the kiln. Because as you can see, there's a lot of tension right there where those pieces are going to be attached. So because it uses gravity, we just fire them in 3 separate pieces. Please don't make your sculpture in more than 3 pieces though. Remember, all of these techniques that I showed you are just basic techniques. The slab construction, the modeling technique, the soft slab, all of these, you have to choose which one will work best for your topic, for your ideas. Look at your sketches and decide what techniques will be best for you.